Hello. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Neal, His Majesty's Trade Commissioner for China and Hong Kong, so lead the UK's trade and investment work through our consulates in Beijing, Shanghai, Wuhan, Guangzhou, Chongqing, and here in Macau and Hong Kong. So look, we've got a great sort of panel here about why the UK, some sort of top-line facts from me. So I think one of the great successes of the UK is the kind of the vibrancy of the whole ecosystem. The tech sector is now worth over $1 trillion. There is a wide range of public support through universities to the sort of tax system. One of our sort of current ministers, and we'll see what happens given general election was called for the UK yesterday, calls the UK the kind of land of the unicorns, with the sort of largest number of unicorns, tech startups in Europe. So I'm going to turn to our panel sort of briefly to let them introduce themselves. Bingbing.
Thank you. My name is Bingbing Zhao. I'm leading the London Partner team in Greater China. London Partner is the official promotion agent for London. So we promote London globally and promote London as the destination for business, for education, and for tourism. And London is a leading innovation city globally. We're helping global company to set up in London and also helping London company to expand globally. So I think it's quite honored to be here to share with why London, why UK should be the kind of priority for international company to go global, especially for innovation development. Thank you.
Thanks,
Sure.
Bingbing.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Sutton. I've been in China since around 2017. Have mostly worked in founding and growing tech companies across AI, blockchain, IoT, which is where I'm currently based. I'm working with a company called Tuya Smart. We're listed on the New York, Hong Kong Stock Exchange and are a leading tech company, an IoT platform that enables companies like Schneider Electric, ABB, Philips, and over 1 million other developers to build and release smart products and smart solutions.
Hi everyone, I'm Philea Chim from QBN Capital. QBN is the tech-focused VC of Tung Chee Hua's family in Hong Kong. We focus on early-stage companies ranging roughly Series C to B round. We invested in about 33 companies since 2019, and half of those are from UK and Europe. Majority of those are UK companies in Europe. So, yeah, very happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Drost. I'm one of the co-founders of CodeBase. CodeBase is an ecosystem builder. We've been around for 10 years. We create infrastructure for startups and scale-ups. That is space, education programs, community programs, and mentorship. And our customers are large corporates like Barclays Bank, the states like His Majesty's government or Scottish government, and various universities.
Thanks for welcome. Stephen, I'm going to come back to you sort of first. You've sort of been a leading figure in the UK's tech scene over the sort of past decade and see the whole ecosystem. So can you sort of tell me about what you see as the key UK strengths and why companies from around the world should think about the UK?
So I think the ecosystem in the UK has changed a lot over the last 10 years. It's matured a lot. There's been enough successful companies and exits that the founders have been sort of recycled back into the system and have become investors. So I think from a European perspective, it's the most mature ecosystem. The ceiling has been raised, but also the floor. That's one key component. The second piece, I think, is that universities at the moment are in a very, very good position to be a kind of cradle for human capital and talented people. Gone are the days where founders, like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, could be college dropouts. Now you have to, finish your degree and have some domain expertise, be connected to research. That's also another huge strength of the UK. But also I feel that the UK is becoming just more entrepreneurial in general. People are more friendly to take risks. The path of entrepreneurship is becoming more normalized. And certainly from a European perspective, the UK is definitely at the forefront of that. Good reasons for locating to the UK. There are cultural reasons, there are political reasons, taxation, all of those kind of things. But again, I think that the entrepreneurship world is very much driven by playbooks and understanding, and it's a sort of an emergent quality as an ecosystem matures. And I think the UK is really the most mature and also the most accelerated and still growing in Europe. So if you want to have a location in that part of the world, I think the UK is the place to go.
Thanks, Stephen. One point I would just add from my sort of conversations around China, the basic theme of openness comes up quite a lot. That the UK says it's open and then is genuinely open to investment and businesses to locate from around the world, including from China. And it's when companies talk about locating in Europe, actually the kind of regulatory sort of legal frameworks differ, and companies say that one of the advantages of the UK is that basically the core regulatory and business environment applies to all businesses, irrespective of whether you're from China or anywhere else in the world. Dylan and Philea, I'll just turn to you now because you're both investors in sort of tech startups who have expanded into the UK. So I was just wondering, could you just tell us a bit about your journey? Maybe Dylan first.
How about I'll go first? I'll speak on behalf of Tuya. So for us, the journey into the UK is largely a commercial one. We operate worldwide, and the core of our business mostly revolves usually around the smart home, right? So for us, we see in the UK, we work with a number of innovative companies who are building their own smart home solutions, but also we enable other brands, such as Philips, Schneider Electric, companies like Calix, who are always regularly trying to sell into the UK. So that initially gives us a really strong foundation as a market that we can build upon in the UK. However, more recently, the reason why we've been zeroing in our focus largely links back into what we were saying before, is around the innovation ecosystem. For our company, beyond its core foundations, mostly focused around smart home and consumer, we now keen to focus on areas such as the energy transition. And we work now, and we see very clearly, not only from startup, but also from key utilities, telecoms companies, Octopus is a great example, is that the UK is really leading the way in certain fields of innovation that make it a really strong target for us. Because if we have a strong enough network of companies to work alongside and build innovative solutions, as we can see, they become market leaders. And probably a final point is credit to the many partners that are available in the UK, such as London & Partners that we work with, that make everything so successful. And for us now, I think we're launching an event I'm running next week or the week after in London, again, focusing on the energy transition, and it's all made possible through fantastic partners that we have.
Okay, no pressure when we come to you, Bingbing. Philea.
We have invested in a number of UK companies, primarily because of how the deep tech ecosystem in many universities around the UK, and also the expertise and the quality of the scholars and of the entrepreneurs in the UK. So, for example, we invested in Oxford Nanopore before they went IPO, a very famous and treasured startup back in the days when they were still small in the startup. And then we invested in Ultraleap from Bristol University, and they expanded to Hong Kong and China as well. So a number of companies in the UK are interested in China and Hong Kong as the next market. And that is why we invest in them and help them to bridge and bring them to business partners and investors in Asia.
You talked about sort of education. One of the other key themes that comes up consistently around all of my engagements in China is also the openness of the UK to sort of Chinese nationals to come and study. There were nearly 200,000 Chinese nationals studying in the UK, including at the universities, but also through sort of vocational education. So also a great route to come and study and then start a business in the UK as well. Okay, Bingbing, over to you. Your pitch for London and Partners.
For London and the UK together. For UK and
Yes.
London together, yeah. So, what's the question?
You can give your pitch for what London and Partners gets up to.
Thank you. Yes, I think you mean what London Partners can do. I think Dylan has been giving an excellent example. So for talking about how to help international investors to London, actually we have 15 offices across the world, and every year we're supporting more than 1,000 companies, so including international company and the local company. And actually we realize we are not just like try to push one message, one product. Different company in different stage or in a different industry, they have different needs. So actually in London Partner, we like to really offer tailor-made support to international companies and the local London companies. For example, after you set up in London, including Tuya and Dylan in the future, we have a program called the Grow London Global, which offers like a 12-month support to scale up tech companies to help them to expand it into global market. So it's not say you need to be original from London. If you are international company, you are from China, from Macau, once you have a London entity, you can join that program. So it's all free. Thank you for the funding from the central government as well. So it's not, we will organize a lot of events, for example, to meet the investors, to support them to link with the big corporation, and help them to go to other markets by the trade mission. So this year, hopefully in autumn, we will have their first Grow London Global mission to China with the healthcare background. So it's just like give them like a long-term help, not just like set up in London is just first things, but actually there's a lot of things you need to support afterwards. Another thing is also to make a little pitch for the London Tech Week, which actually is just after Beyond the Macau, which will be from the 10th to 14th in June in London. So it's to give a huge platform for startups, for scale-ups, for investors, and for whoever in the ecosystem. And it's very international. We're aiming to have about 100 delegations. So from Japan, from China, from Turkey, from Ukraine even. So there's a huge delegation. And we're also working with DBT team, with Hong Kong DBT team. There will be delegation from China, from Hong Kong, from Macau. So I think for London Partner, first we are ready here. We're happy to provide the service support, no matter what's the size and the industry of the background, and working with partners together.
Thanks, Bingbing. And sort of say London Tech Week is one of the UK's sort of leading forums to bring the best of global technology and the best of technology in the UK. So I'm just going to move the conversation on a little bit. I mean, one thing that is striking both here at sort of Beyond, but wherever you go, is the sort of pace of change, the pace of technological sort of innovation. So my sort of question to all of the panel, and I'll maybe go to sort of Dylan first, which is, which trends and which sectors are you most excited by? What are the areas where do you think there's the kind of greatest scope for collaboration between China and the UK?
Sure. I mean, firstly, a little bit about my personal background is that for me, I initially came to China with the aim of helping British companies enter the Chinese market. And over the time I arrived, and as most people do, come into places like Beyond, you realize that there's a burgeoning tech ecosystem that's growing from China, which is in need of trading with the world. So my career kind of switched a little bit over that period. And I've been lucky enough to experience various companies, various industries from AI, IoT, blockchain, clean tech, and many others. And for us, I think, particularly at Tuya, and for me personally, the main opportunity I see for collaboration between the UK and China is mostly around clean tech. For us, we personally, or as a company as well, focus a lot around home energy management systems and those for buildings as well. And whenever we visit a trade show or meetings or meet with top companies in the UK, there seems a huge willingness to trade on something where our goals are really aligned. and that's largely around the energy transition. China's doing very good jobs, as we can see from companies just around the hall, at building EV cars, batteries, solar panels, management systems, in which the UK really needs to be trading with. And I think if we can find a very common goal, I know there's some things that we disagree on, but I think the energy transition and the push towards it and the exchange of technology in that scope is something we can definitely agree on and work towards.
I mean, I really sort of echo these points. So when I kind of go back to Beijing and sort of do trade at that kind of macro sort of governmental level, the sort of areas of sort of consistent emphasis of the need for cooperation, but also complementarity, win-win, clean technology, sort of healthcare, where there's a real complementarity between what the UK has to offer and the skills and experience in China. Philea, I'll go to you next.
For me, it's two areas, climate and sustainability and a new focus of fintech. So I'll start with climate and sustainability. I think in around 2021, there have been hundreds of new funds focused on climate, but maybe 10 or 20 times more startups focused on climate. So there are lots of opportunities, lots of very interesting ideas, from replacing plastic to reducing carbon footprint. So this is an area that's very important for the future of human beings, and I think most funds are looking at right now, and there are lots of potential to grow in this area. And then the other side is fintech is a traditional strength of the UK and also of Hong Kong. So that's something that we keep on looking for new ideas in this area, even though the market has changed slightly in the last 2 years. But I would say in particular a new kind of fintech, in that it's not just about the app that helps with your daily finances. It's not just about crypto markets. It's the bridging of the traditional markets onto the Web3 and tokenizing of real-world assets, which is still very small today, but I believe it's going to become very big in the future.
Thanks. Bingbing.
I think the panelists has been mentioned sustainability and fintech a lot. So I think I will pick up two areas which is very good industry for international company to look into London. One is life science. I think about London is very strong in the R&D resource for life science. Actually, 20% of the Nobel winner life science related or London related. So they are either British or they have education in the UK. And we have the biggest European R&D center for life science called the Francisco Institution. And I think top 20 of the European or global pharmaceutical companies, they have their R&D center in London. So I think life science is also a major topic for Beyond Expo. And I think for life science company from Great China and for Asia can look into. Another area I'm talking about, I like to say, is about consumer tech. It's also a topic for Beyond Expo. So for London, actually, it's a very diversity population. 40% of the Londoners actually are born out of UK. And actually, we have international visitors a lot. So for like any consumer tech applications or products or services, London is a very good test, the playground for international impact. So when you sell anything in London, it's not just the UK market, it's global market. So we're working with Tuya, TikTok, and a lot of global kind of brands. China has very strong consumer tech background for the applications and for those technologies. But I think it's for global marketing and branding, London can be perfect for them to really amplify their product service around the world. So it's not only for UK market, but global reach.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I concur with all the comments and all the verticals that have been mentioned already. Perhaps in addition to those, I would highlight material science, specifically the kind of research part of material science, and embedding that in hardware solutions that could go into building management, for example, and sustainability. So the UK is very, very strong at that. If you look at University of Manchester, for example, they have a very strong premium on building new types of materials, graphene and more. But the other thing is not so much a vertical, but actually a horizontal, which would be AI. AI is very much a kind of university research dependent field, and the UK has, I think, something like 4 of the top 10 universities in the world, and so very, very strong computer science departments. I myself am based in Edinburgh. I think Edinburgh's got one of the strongest in the UK. So we've got, just recently 3 more spin-outs who've been heavily capitalized in the AI piece. And I think there's a lot of talk about these mega platforms in AI based on LLMs, large language models. But there's also a lot of space for SLMs, small language models, and loads of space for collaboration there with China. So those would be the additions for me: material science and AI.
Thanks. And so you all have experience of talking to companies who are looking to internationalize, sort of go overseas, to export, to find partners, to collaborate. What would be your sort of top tips for businesses at the beginning of that journey here in China, with a great product, a great sort of service, a great idea? What are the top lessons for internationalizing? What are the sort of things that you hear most? Maybe go to Stephen first.
So we run a project for the Scottish Government called TechScaler, where we try to help companies grow faster. And we launched a pop-up TechScaler in San Francisco in February. We're about to launch another one in Singapore in October, and we're launching one in Shenzhen next year. So for us, we've been very, very fortunate that the Chinese government has reached out for the Shenzhen pop-up. So for us, it's really just trying to take advantage of partnerships, trying to take advantage of existing relationships on the ground. There's an awful lot of goodwill wherever we go, frankly, to help companies. There's a very strong wave of momentum about partnerships, about trying to create win-win solutions. So for me, the thing would be, try to do your homework before you come out. Build a kind of lead gen pipeline, essentially, of people to talk to collaborate with. Maybe talk to London partners. There are many pathways that have been established with a lot of expertise and partnerships. So that's something I would lean on. For us in China specifically, the companies we're attracting when we say we're going to China are mostly from the hardware and advanced manufacturing place. Which is a slightly different area than, say, software or life sciences. So there, it's just really learning from people who've done it, talking to vets, talking to people who've done that. But I think one of the things that really excites us is the help that the Chinese government is putting in place to kind of vet partners, to curate partners, and create an environment that's kind of safe and pre-vetted and credible.
Thanks. Dylan. So I'll get Dylan and then I'm changing the order a little bit. Dylan, then Philea.
I think the principle is the same wherever you go, right? For us, we're often going in the other direction, perhaps to Stephen. We're a Chinese entity, a global entity entering into the UK. But the principle is always relying on partners. Now, what I will say is, particularly with the likes of London and partners, is that they do a lot of outreach directly to the entity in China. I can understand that for many Chinese companies or international companies, often they don't know. They understand they need to network and build their network, but where to begin? I'll explain the process that we go to with the likes of these guys, is that they will reach out to us. I'm based in Shenzhen. We had a direct meeting there. Some of the team I know is here. And then they're very good at opening up the door in the UK and connecting you to the right partners who will then further grow your network. I think having that initial door partner, in your case it was the Chinese government, in our case it was the likes of London partners, can be really useful and can really open up and make sure you find the right path to go. Otherwise you can often find yourself chasing partners you believe to be perhaps sufficient or useful, but it's a closed door or a dark alleyway, right? So I think finding the right person alongside a bit of goodwill. The UK has a lot of government incentives, not just with these guys. There's plenty others like Tech UK as well. They're a great example, who are very willing to help and open doors. And the help that we receive is always impressing us and staggering us. Is a real positive sign, I think, for any company entering the UK.
I'll say something different. From a different angle, I mean. So I think traditionally, historically, Chinese companies have benefited from having a very big domestic market and didn't need to think about anything else. But now as they want to expand to other markets, or even some companies are starting out wanting to do other markets before coming back to China, they have to think about the business proposition more carefully. What the domestic market needs might not translate to what other markets need. So maybe think about something global. What is a common pain point across different markets or different business types? So think from like a top level and then come back down to how you can execute on that.
Thank you. Actually, the first tip, the dear guest has been given to the panel is to find the right partner to working with. So I think London partner, DBT, Scotland, and we have various kind of neutral, supportive partners can help the companies who are looking to go global. The second, actually, I'm thinking it's very essential, like sustainability. It's not just an industry to look into, but it's a big agenda for globally. So no matter whether it is not only for those companies in EV, in storage, energy, or whatever company, if you do go to global, into UK, into EU, you need to have a sustainable strategy or solution. For example, London is aiming to be a carbon zero city in 2030. So it's not just say about like an energy company need to follow that. Every single company in London should follow that, like a hotel, a shop, or like company. So in London now, if you come to London, you need to really have your sustain agenda. One very practical issue is like NHS has announced for any contract bigger than £5 million in the future during the procurement, the company need to provide those plan how to cut your footprint if you would like to apply for the big contract for a big corporation. So it's about the supply chain. So for any even small company, when you go to overseas, you need to think about your sustain strategy. Similar also, another tips is very practical. So in China, you need to really have a clear timetable, what to do, to look into the market, to find the first people on the ground, open bank account, and how to relate it your like overseas bank booking with your internal booking spaces. It's different in China. We met a lot of companies. Actually, in London, in the UK, it's so easy to register a company. Just maybe 7 days you can register a company. But it may take about 6 months to open a bank account. So a lot of people here didn't really realize that. So for Chinese company to go to global, especially into UK, you need to really have a clear timetable. And this is what we can help. And the team here can help you. Yeah.
Thanks. And actually, they're all sort of very consistent messages with what we say to British companies thinking about exporting to China, and that you sort of can't just assume because you have a successful product or service that you sell in the UK that will automatically translate to a successful product in China. You have to identify the particular pain points that you were talking about, or the different routes to market. We're obviously here at the kind of start of Beyond Expo, and we've got the sort of vast array of sort of stands. What excites you most? What are you looking forward to most going to see through the rest of today, and then bringing that back to the UK? Bingbing first.
We've been a lot of events, exhibitions in China, but I think for Macau, Beyond Expo, very special point is all the companies here, they have global agenda. Because a lot of events in China, mainland China, people are looking to domestic market. So here, I think everybody come here, make the effort, have the global agenda. So this is our lead. So it is people we are keen to target, to talk with. And all the three topics Beyond the Expo cover is also really related to the UK, to London, for consumer tech, for life science, and for those AI in the future. So it's all the mutual topics and the mutual challenges for us to address. So I'm also looking forward to learning from the kind of examples and the good kind of partners here to build for much more stronger partnership, not only in Greater London, Greater China, but also Asia, because we also have a lot of Asia companies here.
Philea, what excites you?
So smaller companies, new ideas, and especially those that are starting first in an overseas market that we can help them expand to.
Stephen?
For me, it's look. The thing I love about the world I work in is that innovation is essentially a kind of promise for a better future. And what I take away from this event, and frankly just the dimensions of Macau from a European person's perspective, is just an optimism for the future. And I think that's something that's super, super valuable. So it's the momentum, the energy, the optimism that, you know, there'll be a better tomorrow. How that divides over energy or health or whatever is secondary to me. I think there's just a palpable sense of achievement, and that things can grow, that there's some articulation for, you know, a better way to live together. And that's something that, you know, we would love to contribute to, and really just grateful to be here today.
Flying cars. No, joking.
Don't worry, I'll answer the question.
I think for me and for us now, is Tuya as a company, we cover such a wide ground of industries and ecosystems. And what we're really excited about, particularly with the burgeoning adoption of AI, is that how we can now connect them, right? So we see companies here from healthcare, from EV cars, from battery manufacturers. And with that over-bridging horizontal, as Stephen mentioned, of AI, there's a really huge opportunity to bridge these different tech ecosystems and see what we can achieve with that, right? And that's what I'm looking out for, to see the way we're connecting the dots between both the startups, the large companies, and cross-sector as well.
Thanks. So, new forms of mobility would be my answer. I was talking to a seasoned Chinese car executive, and we were talking about new energy vehicles where the kind of future has happened to some extent. It's when the rest of the world catches up with that journey that you're seeing here. And I asked him, so what is going to be the next strategic shift after new energy vehicles? And his response, with a sort of leaden face, was flying vehicles. So, and I know there's exciting developments in sort of Guangzhou and Shenzhen, and I think Xpeng are here, and I think that will be, I think you will see it here first, and that will then sort of go around the world in the same way. An new energy vehicle, that is now the standard, and the differentiation is the digitization inside the car. So I think my sort of reflections on this sort of discussion would be the optimism that I think you talked about, the kind of opportunity for collaboration across a sort of wide range of sectors where it is firmly in both the UK and the Chinese government's interests for that trade and collaboration to deepen. Clean tech, life sciences, financial services, people-to-people connections that forge and create these new companies of the future. You sort of mentioned Oxford Nanopore and some of the biotech companies where there is a fusion of Chinese and British founders, which will be sort of hugely important for the sort of strength of those cultural links between the UK and China. So just before I go to draw to a close, I'm going to offer our sort of panelists a chance for any final remarks. I'm going to come to Bingbing last, but let me turn to Stephen first for any final thoughts on a wide-ranging discussion.
My final thoughts would be that, just picking up on your summary, excellent summary, I think there's a space for a kind of cosmopolitan founder that can either be British, that has 1 foot in Britain and 1 foot in China, or be Chinese, that's got 1 foot in Britain and 1 foot in China. And I think that new kind of cosmopolitan founder type will take advantage of the given situation in each country, in each region. And I think, and I hope that we'll see more of those founders going forward. And I'm really excited about what kinds of startups those founder types will build. So that would be my kind of view of something that could be new and culturally interesting.
Philea?
I'm seeing lots of new innovation, especially on how to improve our environment and make sure our planet is sustainable. I hope that more and more investors and corporates and just everybody in society can help to support those companies so that their ideas can become bigger and they can really make a change for us.
I think for me, as someone who jumps a lot between the UK and China across various industries, is that from a realistic point of view, it doesn't go to say that there's not challenges at the moment in the large scale of things. Lewis, I'm sure you experienced them. However, as I spoke earlier, for things where our goals very clearly align to collaborate, for things like clean tech, sustainable innovation, and climate change, I think there's really huge opportunity to innovate and collaborate very smoothly between China and the UK. For other areas, there's ongoing discussions of ways we're going to find reasonable ways to build together. But I think if you find the right sector where goals align, you've got a really huge chance to build something fantastic.
Okay, Bingbing, the last word to you on why the UK and how you help.
I think it's just like a fresh reflection. I think uncertainty with the topics today is also opportunities. I've been doing my job for 13 years to do FDI promotion for London and UK. And the uncertainties change from year to year. So the uncertainty 10 years ago are not similar about uncertainties now. But every uncertainty means opportunity. So we should seize the opportunity together from UK, from London.
Thank you all. I will draw our panel to a close there, but I'm going to give a round of applause to my fellow panelists. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for joining.
Hello. Thank you so much for a lively discussion. Would you guys please stay on the stage for a photo? Thank you so much. All right, another round of applause for our wonderful speakers.